Next, we're going to bring up some folks about domain development advice from the pros. Oh, they are ready to go. Matt Holmes from Handshaking.com, Guinness Book World Record holder, what's happening? Simon McCalla, shout out here in the moniker room from Team Internet, who's reinventing moniker as well. Luke Burgess from Dynamite, come on up. And moderated by Robert Jacoby from FotGuard. Thanks, guys. Take it away, Robert.
Thank you. Everyone got their mics? Fantastic. So we're going to dive deep into further domain regulatory. I'm excited to have this panel to find out what you can do after you picked your domain name through the resolution process. Just a few words of introduction. Let's start all the way at the end of that.
Hi guys, my name is Matt Holmes. I operate a lead generation company. Can you guys hear me?
There you go.
Thank you. My name is Matt Holmes. I run a lead generation company in the real estate space. We've been operating for about 9 years. We own 130 different websites and domain names that have been developed. But this is a small shop outsourced abroad, and we're down to NamesCon and a couple other things.
Please sign it.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Simon McCalla. Hi, I'm the Chief Executive of the online division for Team Internet. So we manage everything from the registry to wholesale registrar, retail registrar. We manage a number of retail websites as well as brand section business.
So
we kind of cover
the internet. And Luke.
Hi all, my name is Luke Burgess. I'm the Director of Product at Dynamite. And at Dynamite, we sell domain names, new and used, seeking and aftermarket can also get from us. And we also have a in-house website builder, logo builder, and we also do email hosting.
Fantastic. So the topic is the domain development. So we have our domains, paid domains. There's so many opportunities, anything from putting them in portfolios and selling them off to actually building companies and products around that. I want to start with you, Luke. What are some of the tools that you have in-house that help build up the usefulness of domain?
As I mentioned, we're a domain registrar, so you can buy a new domain from us. And from there, you have a number of different options, different paths that you can go to develop that domain. So we are a domain-centric registrar, meaning the domains come first. We also have value-added products like website builder, and the website builder comes free with every single domain registration. And that website builder is automatically linked to that domain. The same thing with our logo builder and our email service. So it's all free, it's all built in directly with your domain name. So there's a lot less friction involved in getting that set up for services.
See, when we buy domain names, we should actually do something with them. Just throw that out there.
That's exactly right.
So we'll slowly get to what those best practices are. But Matt, from your sort of smaller site view of the domain space and what to do with the domain name, what does it look like?
Sure. So domain name development for us actually started really small. We started in the local SEO space to try to get our investment from developing the domain back. And we found it easier to kind of start with a city and a niche. And if we could get them to develop leads, then we could sell those to a service provider in the real estate space. So that's kind of how we started. And to add to Luke's website builder, we actually used Dynadot's website builder for a while, which was great for us in the early days. So if you're looking to get started with domain development, not a bad place to start. Now we've moved on to WordPress, and we have 130 sites, so it's a little bit more at scale. And that's what domain development is for us.
Yeah, and there's certainly a lot of WordPress magic. We look at numbers, 41% of the whole internet being run by WordPress. Simon, you have the largest portfolio here of tools in your toolbox. Where would someone start after they've gone and acquired their domain names?
Well, I'm going to be a bit cheeky actually and say that when I start, just one step beyond before that, actually, when people try to either acquire the name they want or actually acquire a portfolio of names they want. One of the things that we found out, one of the things we determined is that actually getting the right name and getting all the right portfolio names is really critical. It's about keeping that, using it, developing it, selling it on either portfolio or individual name. And one of the things that particularly, again, a bit of a cheeky plug for Monica, which of course we're really on show. But one of the things that we've learned from our retail practice is actually helping people to initially find the name that really works and they can really get passionate about is key to them then building and developing it and selling it to something that not only creates value for them, but creates value for us. And so we've been working on a lot of AI-specific technology to help people when they first land on a site to actually want to buy this name or I want to buy a portfolio of names. It's not finding instant disappointment, i.e. that name or those names are already taken. To actually work with portfolios, if you give them the tools to find names that they like, names that they can build their business brand off or their portfolio from, actually they're more likely to keep and more likely to develop them. And so we've taken that technology from our retail properties and applied it to our domain investor portfolio. We're launching that on Monaco this week, and it allows finding is particularly for domain investors. It's a fantastic tool to find some really quite premium names that have in. So we start with that and get the right names and build them.
Well, so you broke my over-under in who will be the first person when someone will actually say AI. So that was 5 minutes, well done.
Yeah.
When you talk about using AI tools to find that right domain name and then figure out ways to develop it, monetize it, how would something like you mentioned at the real estate space? So how would like a team in that monitor solution facilitate a similar kind of vertical?
So try and answer any question a bit more.
So what Matt's saying, we get our cities, we build up our pages, we monetize our domain names on our traffic generation. How would Monitor help? How would people do the same thing?
So I think the key with monitoring is finding a place where it's really straightforward to find, really straightforward to manage that portfolio and things. Added tools and capability to allow you to then take a portfolio and monetize it. And of course, actually, because we have partner solutions. There are all sorts of monetization solutions, of course, which many of our brands and businesses do. But I think the key is straightforward way of managing that portfolio. So you can use other tools to automate it.
How do you use those things?
Yes, I mean, so with our domains that we're acquiring to develop, a lot of them are hand registered, some are expired. And then of course we have some amazing brands that wouldn't be local to a city. So you have to kind of ask yourself what kind of domain do you plan to develop. If it's a huge national or worldwide domain, you really need to be careful with what it is, because you need to live on that for a long time. Where we've gone through the process of rebranding Handshaking with no G to the correct spelling at handshaking.com. It was a painful process to change domains. It takes years to get back to where you were, but it's worth it overall. But the sooner you can nail the right domain, the better. Regarding our local sites, these are much smaller sites that don't need to grow as big as most national sites. They just need to win in their city, and that's how they make money. So I don't think those are quite as important. 2-word, 3-word.com are okay. But the bigger you plan to go, the bigger the vision with that particular domain, the more important it is to get it right ASAP.
And to that point, and we've already broached the AI topic, but I just want to dip back into it a little bit. With regards to finding the right name, from the start, if you're registering a new name, it becomes more difficult, especially if you're looking for like the .coms or some of the larger TLDs. But with AI, we're able to better orchestrate or feed up more relevant names that maybe you hadn't even thought of. So for instance, we recently launched a new AI feature for our general domain search. So if you're searching for a domain name, we do show you those exact matches whether they're available or not. And then we also show you AI equivalents or something that might be along the same lines. So we are seeing a lot of success with that AI rebranding. People are finding that these names actually seem to work well, if not better than what they had originally searched for. And I think the ultimate goal is to be able to not even feed the user or the searcher a name that is taken, right? I think with AI, we want to be able to kind of usher the user in to be able to see the benefits of names that are available versus names that are taken. Because, before this, before people started integrating AI and different sort of algorithms that feed up different names, a lot of times when you ran a search, it was all taken names. Like if you're doing a onesie, twosie type of search. So I think we're making pretty big strides in the industry with regards to feeding up relevant names to users.
Yeah, I just have to jump off the bat and say we're finding exactly the same. And we're finding that early first touch where again, whether you're buying a single name or a portfolio of names, or just protecting the business, People come to the website with an initial idea, and if their first touch with you is disappointing, hey, that name is taken, they've probably spent weeks and weeks and weeks thinking about brand that they want to build on, and suddenly it's something they can't market. So actually, we try and flip that conversation back into picking a brand name and picking a name that you can really successfully build on is hard, and getting that right and finding something that's search applicable, doesn't have search confusion, potentially doesn't have trademarks already assigned to it. Something where you've got some white space to build your brand identity from is going to be a critical part of our future. What interesting is very early results show much, much higher conversion rate, and it's not when people use our AI finder when they use just a simple search tool. But that speed and that applicability is really relevant.
Yeah, and if you just feed the search even just an extra bit of information as what it is you're looking for, the relevance of the names that we feed are even more relevant to what it is that you want. So I mean, ideally, as I mentioned, the holy grail is to get to a point where like the system kind of knows exactly what you want, and we're only feeding you, relevant available names. Now, that's not to say that there's not value in names that are already taken. Obviously, these are business models that we all thrive on in this industry. So obviously, we do want to give the choice and the option to, purchase a premium name that might be taken as well. So that's a whole other aspect in which people are just getting into the business or want to develop names. That's kind of a weird, I guess, surprise. Like, oh wow, I like this name, and now like I realize it's for sale, but it's $5,000, right? So we want to, I say the collective we in the industry, we want to give choices to those users. Like you could go this route, and this is the benefit of going a premium route. But also here's an alternative, right? So the idea is always provide them with relevant names that are available is kind of key, I think, to success.
I'll just add to that as the guy who's purchasing a lot of the ad registers with our 2 or 3 word.coms where, some 2 words might be available with the city name and a niche. I remember several years ago using the bulk search on GoDaddy, and it's either it's available or it's not. And then a few years later, I used to use instantdomainsearch.com. I'm not sure who owns that or if you're here, but a really powerful tool because as you type, you can just see if it's green, it's available. If it's red, it's not. So you can just kind of search as you think about, am I going to go with austinwindowtint.com or austinwindowtinters.com? Window tinting, you can quickly decipher it. And now I've seen with AI tools come out, I kind of find myself using, registrars a little bit more to kind of, because they're getting good, Maybe there's a different word for tint that I'm not thinking of that could apply to this particular brand.
Yeah, eventually we'll probably get to a point with those hand regs where you won't even have to, put in more than a couple different queries, and you're gonna be able to find exactly what you didn't know you wanted.
Yeah.
So once we've gotten those, I kind of want to tie into something Simon just said a few minutes ago about the white space around the domain. So that really is domain development, what you're doing with it. And my first question on that is, does it matter what TLD you're using? Are the NTLDs versus CCTLDs or traditional TLDs? I won't offend any registrars here. Are some easier to develop than others? I think that's we don't have to mention names, but just like in a general sense, if I get something, domain.something versus another domain.something, what does that look like? Or is domain development, I guess, equal across all TLDs?
Certainly the amount of white space that is available is very different between, and obviously everyone here of course knows full well that it's harder in .com to find than it is in perhaps more.
If you explain white space a little bit more, just for us.
So we're talking about white space, we're talking about available strings within a particular top level domain. So register, and of course if you're coming with a fairly generic term or a very popular term, it's going to be pretty hard to find that in .com. The chance that that's already taken. And that's not to defend my good friends at VeriSign, who of course will say there's a lot of still space there is, but of course it's the longest strings. What we do find and we see is clearly in the CC community there is a lot more available strings, particularly in some of the more interesting CCs. We're seeing a lot of creative use of where country codes allow it for use of CCs for essentially quasi-generic development. So a great example, forgive me, I'm going to say the 2 letters again, .ai, of course, has been hugely popular because everybody, it's the online phone Willow, but people don't use it for that. They use it for essentially a generic term for artificial intelligence. And that's allowed a huge kind of gold rush into that CC, which everybody's kind of done very well of. And I expect we'll see more and more creative uses of country code domains as the white space in the generic sense.
Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think, with regards to white space, obviously there aren't .coms available, but as you mentioned, they're longer strings, right? I would focus less on finding that short, .com extension. It's really kind of comes down to how you develop that name, unless you want to build your brand around it. So if you want like a really hot .com, yeah, it might be worth spending a little bit of money on it if you really are good at branding and you want to really build out that name to be something special. But with regards to SEO and stuff like that, it used to be like .com was kind of like the king, and now it's a little de-emphasized with regards to search engines. So if you develop well and you have good SEO practices, you have a good team behind it, you can make any extension really kind of shine.
So let's get into the nitty gritty of that. When you say develop well, what are specific bits of advice that our audience can hear to make that development happen? You guys are the pros.
Yeah, well, I think it all starts with a directive. What your goal is with the site, and do your research with regards to proper practices. There are very basic service level stuff that you can do in order to kind of like get started. I won't claim to be the SEO expert. I would say that we sell domains, we afford the tools that allow customers to build out their sites. But this technology is changing frequently, especially with search engines. They're always adapting and changing. So there's a lot of tools that you can use to leverage as an individual to start applying the proper practices, because those tools, they are up to speed on everything that's going on with Google or any other number of search engines, right? So as an individual, it's hard to keep up with, but it's important to leverage tools at your disposal. You had mentioned you use WordPress a lot. There's a lot of extensions, SEO extensions with WordPress, and use those tools. That's how you're going to, build your site up on search engines. But again, with AI, things are changing a little bit, and I think the next 5 years, it's anyone's guess as to really see where that direction is going to go with regards to feeding up certain sites. If someone's using ChatGPT in order to find a site, how does that work? How's that algorithm working in the background? It's a little bit easier with Google to kind of predict, which again means it's even more important to leverage these tools if you're developing on WordPress, for example. Use these SEO tools to your advantage to try to boost your site up. And these tools, they're gonna really hold your hand. They tell you this is your topic, this is the content that you want to use, these are the keywords. That stuff is all basic, but it's incredibly important even today.
So we got SEO covered. Matt, not.
Sure. So I can cover a little bit of our process, which is really designed for a local business in one city, but not a bad idea and a pretty darn good idea for a national website domain that's being developed. In SEO, they call it the NAP, name, address, phone number. And one of the first things you need to do is when you launch your website, you need to have that very consistent name, address, and phone number, and you need to plug in the socials. Just take that, you don't have to be active on social, but get that Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and publish that in Yelp, a couple of other places, and that really helps Google understand early on the foundation of your brand. If they see inconsistencies on the phone number or the address, that's going to hurt you, but that's a pretty free, easy thing that I think you can make time for if you're developing a domain. So I'll just leave it at that. There's a long process we have after that, but that's for starters. And then make sure to verify your business on Google, which typically in the US means you're going to receive a postcard to a real address, not a PO box. It's free, and when we launch websites, some of them get hundreds of phone calls per month from just that alone. Not all of them do, but you just don't know how the supply and demand for your niche in your particular city. So I'll just leave it at that for now.
No, that's right. I mean, content is king. You have to have something said before anyone can find it.
Yeah, just a real quick follow-up on that. I can speak to getting verified by Google. It is incredibly important, especially if you have a physical business. that sort of click juice that you get when people search for that kind of product within the geographical location, to find that little sidebar to see your business, the photo of your business, the address, the phone number, man, it's so important. So yes, absolutely do that.
And it's getting harder, sorry. Last item on the verifying on Google. I'm not sure how recently you guys verified a business on Google or your new business, but they used to, everyone got really upset in SEO space because they stopped doing phone calls and they started doing postcards. This is already in the past. They've already moved on from postcards, and now they want you to take a video walking into your storefront and showing them your POS system and cash register. And they're probably going to do more than that. So the earlier you can get started on these things, the better, because it's only going to get harder.
Good point. I mean, especially whole portfolios of domain names, I'm sure you see that sign.
Yeah, and I think actually we're going to kind of a slight counterpoint to what my colleagues have said. There's nothing worse than how just agrees with me. To be fair, it's absolutely solid advice. I think one thing we would be saying, I think, is that actually look at how Google is changing. Look at how Google is choosing to prioritize what content presents. And I think Google is ultimately out there to understandably make money, and it's encouraging people to spend money and to make sure that it follows the kind of Google process and Google rules to kind of be at the top of the page. And increasingly we're seeing that page, SEO is getting squeezing out to the point. Add in AI search results now, and most organic results are coming below the fold. And therefore, actually, we encourage people to get your business model right such that you can make money by paying for your traffic. And what I mean by paying for your traffic is making have a YouTube channel, make sure that if you're serious about developing your brand on a domain, have a YouTube channel, make sure that Google's seeing that as well. Pay for product ads, pay for search ads, so that you are encouraging Google to prioritize your site, because ultimately Google's going to chase where the money is, and that's an important part. So if your business needs to be able to make money by purchasing traffic, and there are many ways of purchasing traffic, through from AdSense and everything else through to obviously paid ads and all that good stuff. But I think that blend of traffic and not purely relying on SEO is really critical if you're serious about staying on top of Google for keywords and the keywords and key products you want to rank for.
And so that would sort of apply to a portfolio of domains as well.
Absolutely, and I think it depends on what you want to do that portfolio, but the most important thing is making sure that Google recognises that relevant traffic is being driven to them, and of course, parking solutions and having relevant mechanisms of ensuring that Google keeps your site at the forefront of its search algorithms are going to be really critical.
Yeah, I think, the point is, you can't just focus on one aspect of the development process, especially as social media has, exploded as it has in the last 20 years. So, I don't even know exactly what Google's doing right now, but like, if you're feeding it stuff from X or from Instagram or something like that that's relevant to your business, it's going to print those images or that content in a certain way, whether you use DuckDuckGo or you use Google, Bing, whatever it might be. They all have their general formats. They're kind of more or less the same, but they all kind of are feeding different information in different ways. And so, to his point, like, if you are present in social media and you're really hyper-focused on your business, Google's going to tie that together with your site, which, to your point, may be starting to get pushed down because as AI is prioritizing different things, SEO in the traditional sense is certainly changing. As I mentioned, in the next 5 years, we can't predict exactly what's going to happen. Whereas before AI, it was a little more predictable in regards to those changes.
What are the, best tools or methods to sort of track the value of that domain development? Is it, just a shop or something, just tracking revenue going through it? But I guess something more also in the case of, like having the park sites and the portfolios, are there tools and things that, like, non-domainers can be looking at from, sort of a non-technical way of understanding?
Sure, so we hold a portfolio of domains and only have about a little bit more than 100 out of our 600 domains developed. So once we choose to develop it, we want, our key metrics change. We want live phone calls. That's what we sell to the customer, and that's how we make money. But before we develop a domain, I keep all of them parked, and I look at all the emails that come to every single one of them. So sometimes these two-word.coms that are a city in a niche are already getting leads before we develop the domain. And then I can also see, well, this one's getting a lot more traffic, maybe it's relevant, it's Austin window tint, what else could it be about? So those are some helpful metrics on choosing kind of which domains to develop in the portfolio. And we're really strict with that. As soon as we buy a domain, we have to track party visits and we have to track emails, and then that's all we do. I know there's much more you can do, but I guess we keep it simple.
Well, that's a great start though, absolutely.
I mean, there's all sorts of advanced ways that you can go. I just had a meeting actually. We had discussed implementing something which would allow them to see how many pings who is received, and gauging the interest of a domain, for example. So there's no shortage of different paths that you could take to kind of assess the success or value of your name or business. Obviously, sales is the biggest one if you have an actual site that you're selling stuff on, but maybe your goal is to build traffic. Maybe you have a blog and you want to, you're just maximizing eyeballs right now. It seems kind of old school now, but I mean that's kind of where we kind of started at now, and now we're getting to this point where it's kind of the wild, wild west, like as far as like. How one values themselves. And I think when you factor in social media, it's like a whole nother dimension opens up. It's like, yeah, I developed this thing, I developed this site, but I'm really getting popular on YouTube. And so I'm funneling a lot of my traffic from YouTube to this site. Maybe I sell candles or something, right? And so I got really big on YouTube, and that's how I'm judging my success. The domain and the website, maybe it's just kind of a vehicle for sales, but it's not necessarily like where I'm generating those sales, right? So I might be pulling my customers from YouTube, or maybe it's Instagram or something like that. So the short answer is it's difficult to determine like how to find and where to quantify that success, because there's so many different forms.
Unless Simon's got some tools to tell us about.
There certainly are tools that you can use.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge, depends on, I completely agree with what you said, which is, it depends on what it is you're looking for defining success. If you're building a portfolio of tools with clearly domains that you're looking to monetize and sell, so your number one real success is, am I getting the kind of monetization I need from them, whether they're parks or whether we're serving ads on those and relevant content. Clearly your search ranking and just the basic tools to measure your search position is going to be a really good measure for you on some of those. If you're, however, you're using it as a destination page where your social presence is more important than your traditional Web2 presence, actually it can be simpler. This is where I sell my merch from, this is where I link to other bits on my social profile, but actually you're measuring that kind of back into your socials, so your views on Instagram, views on Facebook, etc., views on YouTube, subscriber numbers, that kind of stuff. It all ties back. So I think it depends on where it sits in the ecosystem of your online presence, which is a much broader topic, I think. So I think it's a very different set of metrics for a domainer than it is for somebody launching a business and looking for success.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And also, we haven't even touched base on like Web3.
Oh yeah, well, really too. I'm watching the clock go down.
so if you want to jump into that space, then it reaches a whole other level. And I'm not going to claim to be, I have all the knowledge of Web3. I do not. It's still somewhat confusing to
I don't think
me.
anyone does.
But you could create your site and you can tie it to a service that allows you to accept crypto payments for it. So maybe your metric of success is how many payments that you're receiving or transactions in and out through your digital wallet. Those sort of I guess your markets for success are different than maybe what they would have been 5 years ago.
Absolutely. We are running up on time. We'll just go down the road, and what's the best way to get a hold of each one of you? And I hope it's on the internet using a domain name.
Sure, you can either use the contact form on my website, handshaking.com, or just matt@handshaking.com. If you have questions about developing a lead generation website, happy to give you some tips.
If you're here looking to develop a domain portfolio, big yellow signs all around it. So if you want to, but please also we have stand right over there. Good old traditional, come and see us, come and grab some free chocolate and come out of the conversation.
Free chocolate, you said?
Yeah, we have free chocolate.
There you go. Okay, so.
I just dusted off my old Twitter account, now X, so you can find me on Twitter, Luke B. Me. That's probably the best way to get hold of me.
Oh, all right, excellent. Thank you very much, and I hope we have some good takeaways for folks on, how to, advance your domain name. All right, cheers.
Thanks so much. I heard where the chocolate is our favorite speaker now.